I got the engine in. Yay! So, being that the exhaust here is running a slip joint for a fit to the collector and thus to the turbo. Also, the fact that I'm running an O2 sensor, I don't want any leaks, especially at low RPM. That will throw my O2 sensor off because that'll give me a false reading on the air fuel ratio. Excuse me. So what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to rub copper coat gasket RTV. It's super high temp stuff. It might burn out. I know guys have used it in place of exhaust gaskets before, so I'm not overly worried about it. But I'm going to coat the tips of all of those. That way when I slip joint down onto it, it creates a better seal. I know when I pulled these off, because I ran them last year, you could see exhaust was leaking past some of the joints. So as it currently sits, I have this pipe and this pipe just kind of loosely bolted on. They are my number 4 and number 2 cylinders. And that will help me get my collector on, because all 4 of them at the same time with the turbo attached to the collector, it's going to be a nightmare. So I did Scotch-Brite the insides of the collectors and the tips of the primary tubes. So you can see I used, I don't want to say it was thick. It's barely enough to just kind of half-ass coat. Well, okay, maybe I'm a little blobby there. But I also very, very barely coated the insides of my collectors just so there'd be adhesion if it sticks to itself, if that makes any sense. I don't know if that makes sense. But hey, look, my engine's in, yay! And this is the reason why I left those pipes loose, is so I can get them half started, then kind of half-ass, sorry, bad video. Half-ass get them started. So I also eliminated, if you guys have looked up these exhausts, they ran spring clips from here to somewhere where my pinky is up there. And I didn't really like them, so I welded just little flat bar tabs onto the flange, or where there would be a flange, I guess. And I'm gonna run bolts through here with little springs on them, so my exhaust can still expand and contract and move. I don't expect it to move much, maybe a couple thou, but I'd rather have an expansion joint than not. So that is the whole reason that flat bar stuff is there, and I left those tabs on. That also explains my crappy wrap job, where I'm wrapped up to them and it's not going to contact, as you can probably see from the old way. I got another 1/4 inch to go there, probably 5/8 of an inch on that one. And this one, for whatever reason, well, I guess these two I wrapped over. It just happens to be how it worked out. And bolted to where my mechanical fuel pump was. I'm also going to rivet to the fan shroud is my turbo support, which is also going to house my, what the hell is that, oil cooler and intercooler. And I just drilled and tapped down here, and it takes 8x125 bolt, I believe it is. So that's going to help support the turbo, especially as it heats up with the exhaust pipe just being thin-ass pipe. I didn't really expect it to support the turbo, so I'm not putting my paycheck on that one. So I built the turbo support to help support the exhaust, support the turbo, mount the intercooler, mount the oil cooler, and also it will give me a place, I believe somewhere down here, I should have room to mount my coil. And there we have it. Charge pipes on. I barely have clearance under it. If I were to speculate, that's 3/16 of an inch at most. So intake pipes on. Snail tail. O2 sensor. Everything's bolted down, happy, cocked in. One thing that I found out when I went to go put on my plug wires is MSD will not run the factory Volkswagen plug wires, which I kind of assumed. They're not hard to get for me. They're probably 3 weeks out if they're special order or they're in stock somewhere. But MSD will, if you're using the Pro Billet, you will have to get MSD wires. I think something else might fit too, but I'm just going to go with MSD because I know they'll fit. The one thing that I don't like about the Pro Billet Volkswagen distributor is the cap's not red. Like MSD, everything is red or black, but the cap's gray, and that's weird to me. MSD, get your shit together. The other thing is I got my oil filter mounted. Yes, I'm running a Fram HP1. No, don't hate on me for it. Everyone hates Fram filters, and that's because they run like a cardboard that they just glue their element to top and bottom. But on the HP1s, they actually do run steel top and bottom caps, which is the number one complaint of everyone. I do have that mounted to my inner wheel well. And that I still have to build on the other side, and I know there's a huge gap up there, but once the mud flap is in and on, that will keep all the shit out. Yeah, so we're slowly making progression. O2 sensor wires, cooling fan wires, that's going to be for my temp switch for my fans to come on. MSD wires, tail light wires, charging wires. It's going to be a fuck fest of wiring here coming up. But that's kind of part of the fun of the build. Now, despite having the turbo on, I am not going to run it to kind of half-ass break in the engine. So I'll fire it up, I'll set my idle, make sure my carbs are synced. And the way I'm going to bypass a Le Turbo is pop off the wastegate and crack it wide open. So it'll still spin, but it won't throw boost through. That'll lessen the restriction of the turbo while I throw one of those snail style flow meters over the carbs to sync my carbs. They should be pretty close because I didn't fuck with the linkage when I pulled it off. But they might not be, so time will tell on that. Like I said, I gotta measure up in here, see if for what I have for room for my MSD coil, which I happen to have in my hand right here. Convenient timing. So I'm thinking, there we go, just back up. I'm thinking it's gonna mount something like that just under the intake pipe. That'll clear my everything there. It'll get decent enough airflow, I hope. You guys were just looking at my paint for a while because I wasn't looking at the camera. So it should get decent enough airflow and not cook up. Here's hoping anyhow. So, but yeah, see, MSD, red, beautiful red. The MSD 6AL box, red, beautiful red. Pro Billet distributor cap, great. Fuck. Get your shit together, MSD. As always, if you have any comments, questions, concerns, throw them down in the comments. If you know me personally, bring me a coffee and then comment. As always, have a good day.